I'm trying to help the people to think, even though I know I get lots of heat from that. But to be accused of Islamophobia, this is absurd. Why? There is a death sentence over me, and the people don't understand how it feels like when you are sentenced to death by a belief system. In this case, the belief system is Islam. It's not Christianity, it's not Judaism, and I don't need to compare it with any other religion. I'm familiar with the major religions. I have studied them. In fact, I have practiced them. Let's put this on the side. When it comes to my problem with Islam, I have been sentenced to death according to this belief system. So how could I be phobic about it? Is it a matter of phobia or a real concern that some people want me dead based on their belief? And how I'm going to defend myself? I'm fighting for my life. Also, this is an existential fight that most people don't understand how it is like to be sentenced to death for no crime that he committed. All I did, I was born in a Muslim family. Then down the road, when I chose not to be a Muslim, I was given 3 days to return to Islam. 3 days. And if I don't come back to Islam, I would be killed. This is my reality. So basically, this is the belief that we are dealing with. Now, what most people, especially the liberals, don't realize, that in fact, before the Muslim Brotherhood came to light and start catching momentum back in the 1940s and 50s, and before the Islamic Revolution in Iran, we did not have Islam. Islam was over after the collapse of the Ottoman Empire. It was nationalism, it was the nightlife, it was the movie theaters. People were just having fun. There was no violence. Women did not have to dress up like garbage bags moving around. They had a lot more freedom. And we did not have violence, most importantly. Islamists taking over the entire region by their indoctrination, their hatred, once by the name of the Afghan occupation, the Iraqi occupation, then the Palestinian occupation, and they can go on and on for eternity because they don't need a reason to be violent. They can just create fiction and act on it. So I think this can be reversible, can be reversed. We can go to the point where, just people, they can choose the identity they want. I don't have a problem with it. But now, to identify as a Muslim against your values, this is not acceptable. For example, many Muslims are not jihadists. They will not kill Jews. They will not kill Christians. In fact, they want to get along. They want to do business with the Jewish people, with Christians, and just open up. That's the vast majority of the Muslims, but they still identify with the belief system. And this is where they get conflicted. This is their confusion, is very evident to me as someone who lived in that belief system. And I say, you don't believe in any of the values. You oppose all the values of Islam, but you still identify as a Muslim. That's a problem. And what makes you a Muslim? And if you are doomed to a hellfire according to the Islamic laws, then why don't you fight for yourself? Or the religious identity is just only giving them protection, status, community, respectability. It's their face. And it's part of my work to challenge these people. This is the human delusion that we are dealing with. Now, I'm not concerned of the liberals who accuse me of things, try to discredit me. It's their business. On the long run, people will understand my mechanism, how I work in reverse psychology. I'm not trying to create controversy to gain followers. I don't like followers.
You're doing quite well, though, at that. So.
Think about it, whatever, but this is more of a reverse psychology.
Yeah.
And the more we have the Muslims think, I think they have the potential, just like any other people. And also the Muslims need to ask themselves, if Islam their ethnicity or not, because it's just a belief system.
Well, Islam isn't an ethnicity, is it? It's a belief
It's not.
system, an ideology, a religion, a philosophy, but it's not an ethnicity.
Yeah, it's not even religion, actually. It's a totalitarian system. Because religion is going in the opposite direction of the material. If I look at most of the main religions in the world, there is renunciation of the material and going towards the spiritual. You see the monks, the nuns, the yogis, people who just withdraw from the material and go into the other side. Islam is going in the opposite direction of religion.
How do you mean?
It's about dominating the material. It's about constructing the Islamic Khilafah, the empire, the only empire on the rubble of civilization, where there's going to be only one Islamic leader, one, not two, one Islamic leader that rules the universe. So this is very, very dangerous. And it does not show lots of spirituality, especially when it's by the means of the gun or by the means of the sword, where slavery is acceptable, where taking territory and forcing people to submit to their belief system. These are very direct and serious violations of the way of evolution, the way of life, the universal design.
So why do you think it is? Because Islam is growing as a faith. People are converting to it. What do you think attracts them? I mean, I remember reading the Quran the first time, and I can understand why maybe at the time it was written, the promise of water running under your feet and fruits and sex in the world to come was appealing to a people who didn't have any of those things easily. But today we have all of those things at our fingertips.
Look, since the Industrial Revolution, the people in the West went towards the material. And I think material without spiritual can lead to void. And I think Christianity, the Christian model of a savior that died on everyone's sin, on behalf of everyone's sins, has made so many people dependent in that religion, even though it's a very nice practice, and I liked it. Love the enemy, turn the other cheek, tolerance, forgiveness. There are very, very important concepts for those who are trying to grow out of darkness, come to a higher state of consciousness. This is why I empower it. I don't go against it. But at the end of the day, they're still dependent on hypotheses. And I think Christianity did not answer the spiritual need of Westerners as a main religion. This way, there is a setback, or there is Christianity is shrinking in the West. So now, people are still in the need for a spiritual. What would be the alternative? Many people travel towards yoga, towards Buddhism, towards Hinduism, which are like basically also amazing practices. Islam, for the vast majority who are looking for legislation, they want the guidelines. It's coming in spirituality, but it's also a political system at the same time. And they feel comfortable there because they just basically have to follow the order 1, 2, 3, do it, and this is going to guarantee them a community, superiority, righteousness, and a place in heaven, in a paradise in the afterlife. This is what gives people comfort in the face of death when they are afraid what's going to happen next. And especially those who are broken, coming from the void of the material, with no satisfaction, they haven't realized how it works. So Islam attracts the vast majority, and the vast majority, they don't have they are not at the level of taking the risk of walking alone, of coming to realize their potential. Most people just want to be told what to do, and if there is a belief system that is going to be my comfort, this is where most people choose. But these people eventually, especially if they're coming from Western background, it takes almost no time before they depart Islam again, because they come attracted by the fancy ideas of Islam, mostly represented as the solution for life and for the human suffering. They realize sooner or later that they are surrounded by unconscious and dangerous people who don't have regard to anyone's freedom. So, and also don't underestimate that Muslims are close to 20% of the population on earth are Muslims. That's 1 out of 4. Even though I guarantee you, a very small percentage of them understand what they're supposed to do in Islam. They're just nominal Muslims. So this also people need help. And I don't mind if this is their choice, finally their choice, as long as they're not going to turn violent and start a lunch war against other religions or religious minorities.
So this touches on the idea of extremist Islam or Islamism, politicized Islam, and Islam. And I sense from you that you believe that those people who are moderate Muslims, who you say don't want to kill Jews, don't want all of those things you listed, exactly, don't want to kill you, hopefully, that they are not actually Muslims, is what you've said in the past, because what they believe they're subscribing to, they're actually ignoring the fundamental tenets of that faith and ideology. Is that basically what you're saying, that you're not really a Muslim if you're not subscribing to the killing of Jews, the killing of Mosab, the killing of apostates?
Right, killing, beheading, cutting people's arms, beheading people in public places for adultery or for treason or for opposing the ruler, or like what they do in Saudi Arabia, stoning women. You ask 90%, 95% of the Muslim population, or those who identify as Muslims, do you agree to any of these barbaric practices of 7th century? They say no. But are you a Muslim? They say yes. So you come to realize they're identifying with something that they completely and totally oppose. But it's their only identity they have. And this is where most or the majority of humanity identify with something that they are not. Because if they don't have identity, they don't have status, they don't have security, they don't have relationship, they cannot build a family. And everybody has the right to choose where to be. But is this everything about life? And when we reach a point where we have the attempt of a minority within the Muslim world, look at Hamas, small group in comparison to hundreds of millions of Muslims, and to see their atrocities against the Jewish minority, and instead of opposing them, to say this does not represent us, what they did the opposite. They legitimized Hamas. They advocated on behalf of Hamas. And they have been working around the clock to delegitimize Israel. They have been working around the clock to portray Hamas as freedom fighters. And if you question that, they will actually attack you. They could attack you. So this is the situation we are doing, the hypocrisy. And what I would like for them to simply be truthful to who they are. If this is not who you are, you're not capable of killing. Yeah. But you still identify with such a dangerous ideology, then we need somehow to know, where do you stand? Where do you stand morally?